Welcome to Sports Beat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, May 12th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. We're talking baseball today, and to be cliche about it, covering a few bases. In the leadoff position, you'll meet our new Royals beat writer, Jalen Thompson. He previously worked at USA Today. He's from Atlanta, and well, we'll let him fill you in on the rest. Star columnist Vahe Gregorian was also part of the conversation. We're happy to have Jalen aboard, and the first series he covered is just the second one won by the Royals this season. After a break, Vahe and I are back to chat some more. We spent Monday at the Joe McGuff ALS Golf Tournament at Lionsgate and had the opportunity to speak with George Brett and Tom Watson. Those Kansas City sports icons participate in this event every year, and both have had good friends suffer from this disease. We got a chance to catch up with Brett afterwards and talked about this being the 40th anniversary of the Pine Tar game. It was pretty good stuff. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, let's get started with our conversation with new Royals beat writer Jalen Thompson. Well, I've walked into a conversation on the 2016 Olympics, and we're doing that while recording a podcast about baseball. So, Jalen Thompson,
yes,
welcome to the Kansas City Star. You're here with Vahe Gregorian and me, and so how in the world did we get on the Rio Olympics?
Well, when I was in school, me and Vahe, we met each other at the 2016 Olympics. I was a student working for Team USA at the time. You know, I was only one of four that they chose. It was two from the University of Georgia and I think two from IUPUI.
Okay.
And I was ecstatic to go. Professor Vicky Michaelis, she was one that helped usher us to that point. And, you know, Vahe and Vicky are good friends, so we just kind of connected. And I remember we were doing archery, and it's hot outside, and people are shooting arrows and hitting targets that I can't do. But, you know, it was cool to watch, and I just learned so much from him, and I'm happy to continue to do that.
Well, it was a blast to feel your energy then and to feel it now. We're thrilled to have you here, and I'm really happy to see that we've got the same bags from Rio that we're still both using.
Yes,
both a little weathered. I think sometime one of us is going to take the wrong bag.
Maybe,
but I bet you have better stuff in yours than mine. So anyway,
newer stuff.
Newer stuff. In every way.
Every way.
But. Yeah, Vicky Michaelis is a very close friend of mine and a friend of Blair's and a friend of journalism that we've all been lucky to know for a long time, and taught you and Shreyas on our staff as well.
Covers KU for us, so keep sending them along, Vicky. Thank you very much. You are here to cover baseball in the Royals. Right. You are our new beat writer, and as we record this, on Tuesday afternoon, as you go out for your second game, the Royals are undefeated while you have covered them. So,
wow, right?
Yep. So, it was about a 1-in-3 chance, given their winning percentage, that you were going to cover a victory, but you did, a 12-4 win over the White Sox in the series opener. But let's talk about your baseball background and interests. You, if I remember reading this correctly, you know a little bit about the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. It's crazy that you say Kansas City Royals beat reporter because I've always wanted to, you know, cover baseball, and to hear my name associated with a strong franchise like that is really cool. But the Atlanta Braves, I mean, that's where I got my start when I was intern in 2017 with MLB.com. Even actually, I can go way further than that. I interned with the AJC and I did some Braves games. So then just to be in the stadium and see the team and learn about the culture of a locker room and a clubhouse, that was something that I really took to heart. And baseball followed me throughout my career. And then I got to cover the World Series when the Braves were there. So yeah, I mean, it's my heart, it's my passion, so I love it. Very cool.
Yeah, so the Braves World Series triumph over the Astros a couple of years ago. What did you grow up a ball fan? Did you?
Oh yeah.
Braves or any?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely Braves. My uncle actually played in the major leagues. So his name was Warren Newson. He played with the Chicago White Sox. He played with the Texas Rangers. It's funny. They always tell this story. Like, when he first came up, he was in the San Diego Padres organization playing outfield. You know, his position was right field. But guess who the Padres had in right field? Somebody named Tony Gwynn. You might have heard of him. So
tough to displace.
Tony Gwynn,
yeah.
right?
One of the greatest hitters of all time.
Yeah. So I remember hearing stories about him, and he had this nickname called the Deacon, and I think it's because of his. I think maybe it was Hawk Harrelson that gave him that nickname, or somebody gave it to him. But he had great plate discipline, and at that time I was like, it's just so cool that he had a professional athlete in the family. He's my mom's older brother, so I would hear all about him, and I knew I loved baseball because when I was 6 years old, I could determine the lineup. I knew every player. My favorite player is Andrew Jones. I could know all his stats. I wore 25 when I was in Little League trying to be a center fielder. Yeah. Baseball was always a part of my heart and my passion, and it's because there's so many things that can happen within a game that it's really it's a thinking man's game to a certain degree, because what kind of strategy are you going to employ? Are you going to do X or are you going to do Y? And I just love that synergy that you have with the game and the fans. It's unpredictable. So yeah, baseball has been a part of me for a while. I love it.
I'm with you on that. I think every pitch is its own story.
Exactly.
And where outfielders are positioned, right? And what pitch is being called, and what the batter's thinking on this count versus what he thought the pitch before. I'm with you on that. I think every pitch is its own choose your own adventure in a baseball game.
And I'll give you an example. I'll always remember Armando Galarraga when he was about to have his perfect game, and then the umpire stripped it away from him by making a bad call. That play stands out to me because that's what baseball is all about. One play. No one remembers the catch in center field to save the perfect game. No one remembers any of that. They remember that one gaffe by the umpire. So what was the umpire's name? I forget his name.
Oh, I have to look it up.
But yeah, he became the story. And I feel like even as someone like myself, I was young back then, I still remember that to this day. So I just think those things are what really stick with you and what makes baseball great.
How it must be exciting, but also a little daunting to just come in and get started. And now you're covering the Royals. How do you go about preparing for that and getting acclimated to that?
I have to lean on to being able to accept and embrace change. One thing that I think really prepares me is when I was with MLB.com as an intern, they have two reporters on both sides of the team. Well, if they came to Atlanta and their main reporter didn't come, it was on me to go and parachute in and cover that team for that series. So it's just a matter of you have to stay ahead, know kind of sort of the players and what's going on with that team. So what I've been doing is with the Royals, kind of just hanging in the background, reading what fans want to know about the team, like watching the game, seeing kind of the trends and whatnot, and then that has helped prepare me to really just dive in. But I think reading is the most important thing because we all write great stories here at the Kansas City Star, and I've just been trying to just ingratiate myself with that moving forward.
I love just hearing you say we at the Kansas City Star. It's really great to have you be part of this.
Yeah, it feels good to say. Like, I'll be honest with you, like before I got this new role, I always wanted to just hear my name associated with just a beat reporter or a great organization, and now it feels good to say, but I know that the next step in the journey is continuing to just develop and be better and, be a great teammate, and that's what I want to do.
Well, that is wonderful to hear, Jalen. And let's just a couple of things. You spent 3 years at USA Today before coming here.
Year and a half.
Oh, year and a half.
Year and a half.
What did I have? Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Year and a half. Also worked at several other places. Why don't you run them down?
Okay.
I got the list here. I'm going to check them off.
Yeah. I will start with right after school. So I went to the University of Georgia from 2013 to 2017. Then I graduated. Of course, I learned under Vahe Gregorian, who was my professor, sports journalism, stand-up. After that, it kind of was a range of emotions because that's when I had the MLB internship after graduating. Then that kind of went away, and I'm like, all right, what am I going to do now? So I get a job December 2017 working at the lowest that you can go, local high school sports, county, 5 high schools, But it was great because I was able to really get that one-on-one connection with families, players, coaches. Like, I'm the only one there. Me and the air. We're the only ones that's covering the team. So
let me stop you there for a second. Be still my heart. Because you started covering high schools.
Yeah.
I started covering high schools. That doesn't happen as often as it used to.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and I can tell where you're going with this. I think it's similar to maybe what Blair and I would say, which is that it was so foundational and so accessible and really helped. I'm assuming helped you find your own path. To
Exactly. And like, no one can ever replicate going to a McDonald's and following a story at 10 o'clock at night.
That's right.
You could not replicate that.
You needed to find the Wi-Fi.
Yes, or you're on the road and you're at a stadium that you don't know about, and you're trying to finish your story before they lock the gates, but you're locked in. So, man,
this is so uncannily familiar, except just from different eras when we would have to use the Radio Shack handy and put the alligator clips on the inside of the phone. But
time has stood still.
But so it's great because that foundation of being able to multitask. You might have a swimming event, you might have a basketball game that's later in the night, or a volleyball game, and it's just so much. But I really like that because you enjoy the passion for what you do. And I tell this story all the time. Brian Branch is a player that just got drafted by the Detroit Lions. I wrote a story on him when he was a senior in high school. So to see him go and be an NFL player now, it made me feel a certain type of way, because I was like, wow, I watched his journey from high school to Alabama, and I saw him when he was in the process and developing, and that reminded me of me. So it's like you take every opportunity that you can, and you continue to grow. So from there, I went to the Alliance of American Football, and that league, as you know, disbanded. But it was cool too, because I got to see it from another perspective as a team reporter, not so much trying to figure out what's going on with the players, but you actually were riding the planes and talking to them. You had all this access, so I learned from that side. That league disbanded, and I went through a period where I didn't have a job, and that was on top of the pandemic that was coming around too. So went through that whole process. Then I got to the 247 Sports. I did college recruiting and football. That was great. And I know Scott Chasen, who's our great assistant editor here. He worked there. He was covering Kansas, and I got to know him a little bit. Then from there, I went to USA Today. And then I used that platform to really develop my craft, because now it was like, I know I can do it at a national level, but I still had this hunger to, want to cover a team. So that's what led me here.
Very good. I loved your reference to Brian Branch, who you may not remember this, but just a week or so ago was taken in the second round of the NFL draft. When he thought he was going to be taken in the first round, he was in the green room, and he was the only player of the four first round, or the four players invited to Kansas City
that didn't,
who were not taken the first round. He was the only one who stayed. So he got to walk out on the to be introduced in the second round, and the fans here gave him a massive ovation. It was really cool.
Yeah, and what's also cool about him? I remember writing his story. He said, "I want to be like Calvin Johnson." Calvin Johnson went to the same high school, Sandy Creek High School in Tyrone, Georgia, as Brian Branch. And now they're playing at the same organization where Calvin Johnson made his Hall of Fame career. So it's just cool to see how sports brings these stories together. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited for him. And I actually saw him when I came to Kansas City for the NFL draft at the airport. So we had a great conversation and talk.
Great.
So it's just cool how all that came together. But yeah. Those stories is what I really love about sports, and what I want to do with the Worldsby as well, because it's just those connections. And when you're sitting around, when you get older, you have your grandkids, you're like, I remember this young guy named Bobby Witt Jr. that had like super speed, like he's like the Flash out there running home in the first. And then you just tell those stories, like what you remember and what you see. So it's just those memories.
Well, we are thrilled that you are connected to us now.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to working with you on the Royals, or wherever your work takes you here at the Star, and excited to have you. And maybe the first night result for the Royals will be a sign of things to come. So,
for sure.
We'll see you at the ballpark.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys
Oh,
before
okay.
I
Go
go.
ahead. Yep.
Anybody, you guys know Bo Jackson? I would love to meet him. Because Bo knows.
A former colleague of ours named Sam Mellinger, who I believe you've met by now,
Yeah.
is possibly the biggest Bo fan on earth. Blair, you may have had, in your time here, you may have had some Bo time.
I've had a chance to chat with Bo a couple of times. He came back to Kansas City a few years ago and was at the Royals Fan Fest and did a talk at the Royals Fan Fest, and then we got a chance to talk to Bo. No, he's a legend, an icon. He is the first. I don't know if the first, but he was one of the most unique athletes of all time, obviously, as you well know, and wish he was able to stay with it longer, but the injury, of course, in the NFL ended his baseball career. And wow, just he's kind of got a Paul Bunyan type of reputation, just bigger and larger than life, and did things that no other ball player did. And so Bo remains connected to Kansas City, and it's great when we see him.
Didn't he throw out Griffey at the plate?
It wasn't Griffey. It was Harold Reynolds.
Harold Reynolds.
Yes, from the wall.
From the wall
in Seattle, and it was the most incredible throw anybody's ever seen. The other Bo Jackson is when he ran up the wall and gave the catch. I think that was in Baltimore. Or the time he hit the 3 home runs in Yankee Stadium and then injured himself, so he didn't get a chance to hit a 4th. But
incredible.
And just the whole breaking the bat. I mean, that was superhuman strength. He break the bat over his leg after striking out. Anyway, Vahe's right. Go talk to Sam Mellinger. You might have met him yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But, the biggest Bo fan who ever lived. So
Sam met Bo, I think, for the first time at spring training this year. He came through, and Sam's been around a while, but he looked like a 12-year-old. I think they surprised him. The Royals surprised him with the introduction. And one last aside on this. Blair, you can again speak to this way better than I can, but until Patrick Mahomes became what he is on this landscape, obviously there have been some fabled athletes here. We saw a couple of them yesterday in George Brett and Tom Watson, but I'm not sure there's anybody that created that kind of buzz like Bo before Patrick.
Well, mythical figure is what Bo was.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that his career ended as quickly as it did feeds the mythology of Bo Jackson. If he had a 15-year baseball career, maybe he'd have had the incredible numbers, but the fact that it was only 5 or 6 years, I think he just left you wanting more.
Yeah.
And so now what we have are the highlights of Bo. I think of the other one, the All-Star home run on the first pitch of the All-Star game in '89 off of Rick Russell that I don't think has landed yet.
That's a name right there, Rick Russell. That's a name.
No, he that guy created more highlights in his short tenure as a baseball player here in Kansas City than most people do maybe in a Hall of Fame career. So, So anyway, all right. So now, Jalen, welcome to the Royals and Kansas City and the Star and everything, man.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Jalen.
We are back on SportsBeat KC talking baseball today, and that was fun talking to Jalen, wasn't it?
It was. I kind of think of him as instant offense, and that's very infectious. I don't know if you noticed this, but we had our first Zoom call with Jalen on there today, and as soon as he started speaking, basically everybody on the Brady Bunch the squares there was smiling, and I get the sense he'll have that effect on a room, and it's very refreshing.
No, he will bring the energy, bring the life to the party. Looking forward to working with him and for him working with the Kansas City Star.
Yeah, same.
The previous day, you and I were part of a small media contingent out at Lionsgate in Overland Park. I like to say it's the one home game I get all year to cover an event. The Joe McGuff ALS Classic fundraiser golf tournament for ALS, and I've been going to this event for many years. I can't tell you the year, but I know you have been participating in this as a media member, not in the golf tournament, but in the press conference for many years yourself, and I always go in thinking, what else are we going to talk about? What can we talk about that's fresh and although there is news about cures for this, and there was some great news about it this year, I always leave feeling good, feeling better, and questioning myself, why did I doubt that there was anything to talk about? Because the stars of the show, Tom Watson and George Brett, are they're terrific when it comes to this, right? They're terrific in other ways, but certainly when it comes to this, they are wonderful spokespeople for ALS, and we get a chance to talk to them in a different kind of setting here at Lionsgate. So, long-winded way, Vahe, of getting to your impressions of what you saw with George Brett and Tom Watson at the Joe McGuff ALS Classic.
Well, I love how you set it up, Blair, and so it's funny. I think I've gone since I arrived in 2013. Probably 2014 was the first time I went. So I've gone every year since then, and I went by your recommendation or suggestion, and you've surely gone to 20 more of them, and that's a lot to go to and feel like you come away invigorated and fresh about a hard topic. And the reason, without putting words in your mouth, I'll put them in mine, I guess. To me, the reason is the authenticity, sincerity, passion that George Brett and Tom Watson feel about this cause. That they're not sort of, we've seen examples of people just being like, spokesperson in name, and not necessarily that interested, just kind of latched onto something. But this, as our readers know, as you know, as I know, is deeply personal to both of them, and I think that's what makes it. So George Brett lost his friend Keith Worthington, who George met soon after he came here in 1973, and Keith had, I think, about an 11-year battle, whatever the right term would be, with ALS, and George saw every stage of that, and George became very close with him. Every time I think of this, I'm really moved that George has gone as far as to have on his statue at Kauffman Stadium, "I made a promise and I intend to keep it," which is to keep battling ALS. Tom had a similar vow to his caddy, Bruce Edwards, and they were very close. So the idea that these two saw this just cruel, insidious disease up close the way they did, and felt so strongly that they would continue to dedicate themselves to this, I think it really resonates. I know we feel it, right, when we're sitting there and they talk about it.
Well, how about so we've been established that we've been going for a long time. It's the first time that I saw Tom Watson shed a tear.
Yeah.
About speaking about the topic.
Yeah, and I was listening back to the tape yesterday of how that came to be, and we were speaking with George and Tom both about how what they might have known about it, ALS, before it became this more intimate thing in their lives. And somewhere in there, George had spoken to the question. And what I realized in listening back was George cued Tom to speak directly about something more specific about Bruce Edwards' death. And Tom started, and he basically got a lump in his throat almost right away. And you're right. I've seen Tom very expressive in many different ways, but I've never seen that. And it was one of those things. It was enough to move you to maybe get a little misty-eyed. I can say I was, because of the depth of his feeling. I think also without fully understanding what hit him exactly, Tom at the time was speaking about being delivered the news of Bruce Edwards' death by his now late wife, Hillary.
Yep. And
I wondered if maybe the combination of those things was what was really striking for him too.
And it happened at the Masters.
At the Masters.
The tournament he loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely moving stuff, emotional. It was, I'm so glad I was there, and I'm sure you were glad you were there as well. The other aspect of this event is an opportunity to speak to George Brett and Tom Watson, two of the 4 that I would put on the Kansas City Sports Mount Rushmore, about other topics. And we'll play this a little bit later. George Brett having you tell me, because I was talking to Tom Watson and you and Todd Lebo from WHB Sports Radio 810 were talking to George Brett, and the topic of the Pine Tar game came up because it's the 40th year of the Pine Tar game. It happened on July 24th, 1983, and George Brett knows exactly the date that it happened, and George will tell you why in a little while, but how did it come up?
What was funny was I hadn't known this till a couple of days ago, but when Vida Blue died, I guess it was over the weekend, I saw a close-up in the Royals dugout of the scene precipitating the
charge.
The charge. And it seems understood that George was telling Vida his plan for if this went counter to the way George wanted it to turn out. And there was some colorful language about what he expressed to Vida, and then George followed up. I think you could see the raging bull manner that reflected that. And so anyway, that led us to talking more about a little bit about Vida Blue and a little bit about the sort of broader sense of that unforgettable time. And it's funny, that struck you too, the idea that he knows that date. Like I think in the sequence we'll play that he even spoke about how people want him to use that date on autographs he signs.
Well, that's why he remembers the date, because when he signs, and he'll tell you this, when he signs photographs of the moment, people want the date, and so that's why he knew it. And you'll hear this as well. And when I think about it, I'm still amazed. You reminded him that this year is another anniversary date that he apparently has given no thought to, which in my mind is a heck of a lot more significant than the Pine Tar anniversary. George Brett became a major leaguer 50 years ago this year. And in fact, when you brought that up to him, and there was this pause, this awkward pause, I'm looking at his face, and he could just all of a sudden his eyes open up. He goes, "Oh my gosh, you're right. This was 50 years ago when I broke in." So I can't wait for you all to hear that. But anyway.
That was funny, and what was extra funny, I can't remember if you were back over there yet, but he had alluded. One of the reasons that came to my mind, which was not the obvious reason, was that he had alluded earlier to this being the 40th anniversary of the Pine Tar game, and he made some suggestion about how it'll be really meaningful when it's 50, and. It didn't dawn on me at the time, and then a couple minutes later, I'm like, well, this is going to be this 50th. And he did. He had to do the math in his head, as did I. But, so it's kind of funny. All these things converge, and I guess if you get old enough, all these anniversaries kind of come together. But he's also turning 70 in a week or two.
Right.
Right. And I think this is a pensive time for George.
Yes, I can see that. Okay, let's do this, Vahe. Let's you and I stop talking and let's hear from George Brett. And always more entertaining than either you or I. So, thanks for chatting, and we'll talk to you again soon, Vahe.
Thanks, Blair. But as you look back, you think of it, it's a classic moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
It gotten bigger.
There's so many.
Right?
There's so yeah. It will this year. It'll wait till 50. I hope I'm around for another 10 years. 50-year anniversary. But 40 years. I didn't even realize today this was the 40th year.
This year, yeah.
July 24th. Remember that.
Remember the date, though, huh? That's seared
You
in your
remember
mind.
other dates? You remember what date it was when you hit the home run Gossage in the playoffs? Don't you remember this one?
Well,
because they keep bringing it up.
Yeah. So many times I've done a few autograph shows. I don't like doing those things at all, but whenever you do a private signing for somebody or a company and they say, hey, can you put the Pine Tar date on it? It'll be a picture of me like this at the umpire, or Joe Brinkman with his headlock on me, and dragging me back, and somebody's got Tim McClellan to sign it, they got me to sign it, they've got Joe to, because collectors, that's what they do. So, and a lot of times they got it, hey, can you do the Pine Tar and the date? So
the date.
Yeah.
You remember the first day in the major leagues? Remember that date?
No.
But you know this?
1973, I know that. I don't know. I know it was in Chicago. I know it was in Chicago.
Boy, now there's your 50.
Yeah.
50 years.
Yeah.
this
Oh
is-
my God. Yeah. Try.
You got to that one.
I'll be 70 on the 15th of May. I can't believe it. Can't believe it.
That'll do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Shout out to Randy Mason for producing all the episodes this week, and to our SportsBeat KC staff of Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. Tip of the cap to Vahe Gregorian and for Jalen Thompson for talking baseball with us. There is no better digital sports page in the country than Morning Sports Edition. Today, 27 pages on the NFL schedule release, baseball, NBA and NHL playoffs, auto racing, and so much more. The place to find it is liveedition.kansascity.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.